XRP just got the green light, but the real money is made after the verdict. In the next 7 days, we've got the CPI, we've got the MICA bill actually being phased in, and even a $50 million on-ledger deal hitting the tape. So stick around because we're going to try to determine whether the price is going to pop or flop by Friday. So I wanted to provide a quick run through of something significant that's been happening in the XRP space, and it has to do with the whole Ripple SEC lawsuit thing that's been going on, right? So we have seen recently, and I posted all over social media, basically saying the court case is done. It's like 99% done at this point, so done isn't really a thing yet. But we have seen a 60% reduction in the actual settlement that Ripple is going to pay to the SEC. So it's come down 60% down to $50 million, rather than the $125 million that Judge Torres floated last year. So Ripple can't stop winning at this point. Even at the end, we're still reducing the amount that has to be paid. And this is all really good news. But why is it good news? Well, it just provides oxygen. Whenever you get legal clarity in crypto, it just provides oxygen to the system. And I think there's other oxygen inlets that are happening, like Trump coming in and talking about crypto quite a lot in what he's doing. And so the legal clarity, we got Trump, and those kind of play in together. It kind of adds oxygen to this fire. And when the fire goes, it's going to be monstrous, because this means that venues and funds and corporations and institutions can finally add XRP to their playbook. And many of them who already have will probably start releasing that to the public now. And that's just good for public perception. And what we're looking for is public perception at this point, because in my mind, if we're looking for the growth of XRP in this specific bull run, this bull run is going to be entirely run by speculation. That's the market's opinion of XRP. In my mind, it's the next bull run that we start looking at utility playing a role in the price action of XRP. I've got my reasons for that. We'll get to that in another video. If you want to see that video, type reasons in the comments. And in other news, there's a $15 million deal that happened in the world of pharmaceuticals that's going to be on the XRP ledger. But before we get to that, if you're holding at least $20,000 in XRP or other digital assets, and you're ready to dedicate the next 30 days to building a personalized exit and wealth creation strategy, you have to listen closely. First, you're going to answer 5 simple questions. And if you're aligned, you're going to get direct access to book a personal strategy session with me. The results students are seeing here are phenomenal. And because of this, 10 additional spots have been opened in the program. This is your opportunity right now to transform the gains from this bull run into a lifetime of wealth and freedom. So if you're serious about your digital assets, click the link in the description right now. So there's a company called Wellistics Health. It's in Florida, and they've basically locked in a $50 million deal to house value on the XRP ledger. And basically they're going to be housing value in their treasury. So this is essentially a big pharmaceutical health company holding massive amounts of XRP, $50 million of XRP in their treasury to be used as the payment rails for over 6,000 pharmacies across America. And I just think this is one of the biggest pieces of news that we've had recently. This is, to me, better than the lawsuit, better than anything else, because this is real world businesses actually adding XRP in volume to a treasury, taking it out of circulation to use as software essentially for their own business, and actually doing it across 600 different brick and mortar locations. That's real world adoption right in front of your face. And let me ask you this question. How many other business owners, large business owners, does the owner of Wellistics Health know? Probably quite a few, right? These people tend to operate in circles. This is how the network effect takes place. It starts very small. Cells replicate and they replicate again, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. The replication process happens very fast. It's the network effect. This is the beginning of it right now. And this is one of those first times where I'm hearing about it. You hear about SBI Remit and Japan and stuff. But this is one of the first times where I felt like, a real brick and mortar business in the real world that is kind of, I know the 6,000 pharmacies across the US is quite large, but still feels relatively small. They're actually making these moves to change their settlement rails, and they're actually using XRP. Why are they using XRP? Because it's the best solution to the problem. I've said this for quite a while, and I'll continue saying it. There will be a moment, and maybe that moment is starting now, where there'll be a natural selection point where at scale, in mass, companies will choose just the best technology to do what they need it to do, not the one that they've always been using. They'll just choose the best. XRP, certainly in this case, has been positioned as the best, and it's actually being done. I love this story. Additionally, we have this stablecoin stumble that's happened recently. The Senate has actually stalled the Genius Act, which is stablecoin regulation, essentially. They've put that on ice for now. So we're just going to have to wait for things to develop there to get stablecoin regulation. At some point in this whole new global adoption thing that we're looking for, we're going to need the regulation. So delays happen all the time, whether it's intentional or unintentional. We just have to sit and wait for all these things. It's kind of frustrating. So on the topic of ISO 20022, there's a crunch moment coming up here, and some of the stories coming out are about mid-tier US banks are actually not ready for FedWire's July switchover. There's 437 days left until that switchover happens, and the reports that are coming back are that mid-tier banks just aren't ready for this switchover, which is, again, like there are just delays. There's infrastructure. Changing infrastructure is just really difficult, and I hope the delays show just how complex of a job this is and help you kind of react to all the things going on. You know, there's a lack of patience going on everywhere. Everyone wants things to happen right now, but I don't think we realize, and I'm learning over time, that I completely underestimated the complexity of the old way and how every single element of the old way needs to be adapted and changed to get into the new way. And we're just uncovering more and more things that need doing that we never expected. And this is just part of that. So we know that BRICS want to de-dollarize, and we know they've wanted to do that for quite some time. But we've seen that on the BRICS Plus list, Saudi Arabia, they're actually still on the fence about de-dollarizing. And so they're pushing those timelines back. And ultimately, what we can gather from all of this is that wherever the oil flows is where the money goes, right? And the currency of the oil flow is still the dollar, and you can't change that. So because of Saudi's involvement with oil to such a degree, you would see why they would have hesitation on switching over into a non-dollar environment. So let's look at what's happening over the course of the next week or so. This is everything you need to look out for this week, just to stay on top of things and see if there's any price actions that happen as a result. So we have the CPI on Tuesday the 13th. That is tomorrow. That's happening at 1:30 BST. We've got the PPI happening on Thursday the 15th of May, and that's at 1:30 BST. And both of these things are just things to watch sentiment. And if anything, if you're trying to disconnect from crypto a little bit, that's absolutely fine. But what you can do is turn this into a learning experience where you just kind of watch the reaction of the CPI reports and stuff. See what happens live to sentiment, because really what we're following here isn't price movement. We're following emotional behavior displayed as price on a crypto chart. So just to see, when somebody says this kind of word or this kind of word or this narrative is pushed, see how the prices react. It's a very interesting thing to do, just as a learning experiment. But if you're really interested in doing the whole learning and planning side of things that I've been talking about for so long, we have actually one remaining spot in the BlockFlow program. They're filling up so quickly. I'm going to have to go and pause here for a while just to maintain the experience of all the students that are in there right now, and we'll open up spaces down the line. But if you want to get that one remaining space, all you have to do is go below this video, click the link in the description, fill out the questions, and if it doesn't make sense for you, then we'll point you in the direction where you should be, and that you'll get the most out of it. So if you're interested in planning your wealth, planning your exit strategy moving forward, the BlockFlow program is the absolute best place to be. Click the link in the description to register. And with that said, look out for all those interesting dates this week. Great news this week about Wellistics. I think it's wonderful. Stay emotionless.